Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again. And we're going to talk about the New Age deception. Um, you know, the, yeah, the New Age deception. What is that? I mean, it's quite challenging in some respects to talk about. So, I'm not flinging mud here, and I'm not trying to accuse anybody or anything. But what I really want to do in this little chat is just give people a heads up. Everything isn't quite what it seems to be. As the New Age sort of started to come in, sometime in the 60s, and it's all peace and light and love and, all of this kind of thing. And it's about finding a new way. No problems with that at all. And it really is that awakening awareness. It's the beginning of the sort of starseed awakening coming in. People who are looking and understanding that the old ways of doing things were not working, were not right, were not people friendly, whatever it may be. And we've seen this, the old ways of controlling people were very much religious. The religious, there has been another new age before this, and that was the kind of the bringing of science into the arena. Science became a god in itself. So we had religion, and then science for some people has taken over from religion, and science has become a god in and of itself. But then, there were people who were becoming disillusioned with science and very disillusioned with religion. So these control mechanisms that were in place were faltering for particularly the starseed, the awakening starseed part of the population. So, the powers that be, and I'm talking about, when I say this, I'm talking really about what I call the dark forces. These are the puppet masters that lie above and beyond, our governments and things like this. They came up with another, what's called a psyop. It's basically a sort of an operation that, a means of misleading people. It kind of like sleight of hand. Look over here and have this little drama going on when really something quite different is going on, sort of behind it or in another corner. So it's to mislead.
And so what you're saying is the dark forces hijacked New Age, if you like.
Yeah. You've got this awakening taking place to evolve consciousness, to come back into connection with nature, to come back and remember, how we worked with crystals, how we worked with energies, to bring in new healing modalities, to help restore our DNA, to bring in new ways of working and seeing and understanding things, to expand our consciousness. Now, if you rely upon farming the farm animals and keeping them ignorant and stupid and unaware, the last thing you want is them waking up. So you keep them under the yoke of religion. You feed them false science and things like that, and so they come to worship that. And then you've got this, then there's a chunk of the cattle who are suddenly going off in a different direction. It's, oh my God, what do? We bring in the New Age. So we take what they're trying to do and we invert it.
I guess infiltrate it.
You infiltrate it and then flip it inside out.
Makes so much sense. So
it takes all of the power out of it, all of the and it misleads. And there are things like the false ascension matrix and stuff like that, which is maybe a chat for another day. But there are false constructs, shadow constructs, phantom constructs that we can be channeled into, pulled into, led into, if we're not discerning enough. And these are ways of capturing your soul, of capturing your energy, of of basically putting you back inside the animal farm prison.
Okay, got you. So it's wrapped up in a nice looking new age gift box,
Yeah.
but actually when you open it, it is deceptive and putting you back a step when you
Yeah.
think you're going forward.
Yeah, there's a phrase. I mean, I just love this one, Dead Sea Fruit. It's a phrase that I learned from Paradise Lost, the epic poem Paradise Lost by John Milton. And it talks about Dead Sea fruit, and it's such a it paints such a beautiful picture. You know, it's this beautiful fruit. It's luscious. It's shiny. It's so tempting. And you bite into it, and it's dust and ashes on the inside. It's
Okay.
all glamour. It's all
Yeah.
glamour, but no substance to it. And then so much of the new age, and I'm not doing down the whole new age, there's some really good solid stuff within it, but we need to move, those of us who are really, you know, serious about wanting to move this planet forwards, wanting to move ourselves forward, wanting to bring the collective with us. We've got to move beyond these belief structures. It's not about belief structures. That's part of the old paradigm. It's part of the orthodox religion that's really had, it's the same structure, just given a new name imposed. And you know, within the so-called new age, you've got groups at each other's, you know, neck the whole time, going for each other. You're right, I'm wrong, you know, doing people down, and blah blah blah. My archangel's Michael is better than your shamanistic, whatever it is. I mean, on it goes. There is so much deception within this. And when I say to you that everything that we hold sacred and hold true as Christos human beings, those who are aligned with Source, everything that we know and understand to be true has been taken and trashed, and a false version of it brought forwards. So is there a Christ Michael? Yes, there is. Christ Michael is one of the great solar dragon beings who is the protector of this planet, a huge consciousness that protects this planet. What's he been turned into? He's been turned into the Archangel Michael.
Okay, interesting.
The Archangel Michael, if you trace that, I mean, it's a group, it's a group, but there is a being that kind of heads that group. And if you trace that being back through the timelines, he's a very ancient being from a race called the Chanterelle, the ancient Chanterelle, and they are not nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Archangel Michael is a really, like, you know, well-known archangel. You know, I've got a deck of cards that's got Archangel Michael in it, and you know, so
As I say, and it's not that Michael, it's not the Michael part that's wrong, because the Christ Michael, and to give that consciousness its full expression, it's the Christ Michael Sophia, because any truly ascended being, it has gone through the Hieros Gamma, so it's a hierogrammatic pair.
okay, so
It's a masculine and feminine,
right.
you know. So there's the what are called the solar dragon king and queen. So it's the Christ Michael Sophia who is the protector of this planet, and it's both, it holds both the masculine and the feminine energies, and there is nothing militaristic about it. The moment that you see this hierarchy coming in, you see, you know, warrior beings and all. There's nothing militaristic about it at all, because it's the wrong energy. That's the energy of the fallen beings and the fallen hierarchies. So, I mean, that's why a lot of, you know, I'm sure, you know, people out there are going to be going, you know, and there'll be pushback on it. But I'm not trying to offend you, but we have got to be better than this, people. There are so many deceptions out there, and we've got to find a way of moving beyond it. I mean, one of the big things that they did, they were very much behind the introduction of theosophy. A lot of great truth in the teachings that came through from Madame Blavatsky and things like that. There's ancient spiritual teachings, but woven into them is disinformation and misinformation. So rather than leading you towards ascension, it's taking you to the false ascension path. And the false ascension path leads you back into the loop that they want you in. They want you in this recycling loop where your soul never ascends. So when you die, it gets captured, brought round and rebirthed onto the planet so they can keep feeding off you. Whereas the true teachings move you up, 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 out. It's growth, not recycling.
I mean, I can imagine people panicking here, thinking, "Oh God, no! What is the truth?
Yeah,
What is
yeah.
the truth? Do I believe?" Now, we had a brief conversation off air where I explained something to you where I had been in in a gathering, and somebody was offering a particular healing modality, and it just felt a little off to me, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And there was nothing sinister particularly there. There was nothing that was troublesome, and I was sort of wondering whether or not to continue on a course with this person. But my inner knowing was just saying, just very gently to me, no, no, no. And I
feel
thought,
quite right. Just as that dissonance coming.
now what?
And does that make that person a bad person? No.
No, but there's something there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's something there. And we have all been caught up in these deceptions. Hold my hand up. I've done the courses. I've even taught some things that I now know to be inaccurate.
Interesting.
And God, if I could, I would take it back. My God, I would take it back. But I didn't do it intentionally.
No, and it's brought you to the point where you can teach this now, because if you hadn't experienced what you're talking about, you'd never know that it was there to warn other people about. So it's like you said, I like what you're saying here. It's about being better. It's about discerning. It's about allowing ourselves to follow the nudges from that inner self that says, no, don't go join that group. That's not quite it.
Absolutely. It's about buyer beware. I say there is a lot of stuff that's not just incorrect. It's very deliberately going to lead you in the wrong direction. And and we are a very trusting species. It's one of the lovely things about humans is and with so many people are hungry at the moment.
Yeah.
They're waking up. They're kind of like, I know there's a whole new world out there. I know there's different ways of doing things. And somebody stands up and says with authority, let me teach you, let me make you a master in a weekend, let me, all of this. I mean, there's red flags in that immediately. Let me make you a master in a weekend. I'm sorry, look at what mastery is. Mastery is years of working with something and understanding it, not a weekend. So that's your first, there are clues there for you to pick up. But the biggest one is you. And we come back to, we talked a couple of videos ago about the truth frequency and things like that. Once you find that within yourself, you can then tune in to the field of whoever it is or whatever it is. And it may be, sort of 60% of this, 70% of this feels great, but 30% doesn't. Now, you can spend a lot of time, digging through and finding out the 30% that's wrong and take the 60%, or you can just decide I'll look elsewhere and find a cleaner.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, what somebody taught me to do something once, which I found very helpful, which is you can say to your spirit team or whatever you believe is bigger than you, no, not quite this.
Yeah.
Like this, there's something about this I'm liking, but it's not quite this. Can you show me the better version? Because then what you're saying to your own team is, no, I want higher standards in this. I want bigger discernment.
I'm not just going to take the first thing that presents itself to me, because you're projecting out into the field. I'm looking, I'm seeking, I want information, I want to learn, I want and all the nasty dark forces, all the little demons and aliens, and I mean, whatever name you want to give to them. You know, the fallen creatures of fallen consciousness, the entities, the false ascended masters, the false archangels, the false white light beings. You know, that's kind of like, it's kind of like, oh, siren call, whoosh in, and they'll be the first ones at the table for you.
What I like as well, Sarah, but something that you told me again off air, was that often the people who are practicing, you just touched on this yourself. You said, you know, I've taught things in the past that I now not to be known. But there are some people, for example, you said that, you know, when a priest is baptizing a baby, the sign that we make on the forehead is a blocking of the third eye.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a sealing of the third eye. Baptism is a sealing of the third eye. It's one of the many ways we're deceived. I mean, you know, the teachings of the avatar Christ are transcendent. The dogma and the rituals and the ceremonies of the church that claims to uphold those teachings are something else entirely. They're a control mechanism. And there are all sorts of different ways of doing it. And there's, you know, the rituals of the church, the ceremonies, they've been designed for purposes. And the baptism one is you have this pure, innocent little babe who is, you know, this wonderful, you know, and that in itself, they teach, you know, this is a fallen being. This is a sinner. This babe has come in sin and it needs to be redeemed by the church. I mean, complete rubbish. I was going to say a very rude word there. But, it just gets me so cross. This innocent little soul immediately having the burden of sin placed on it, you know. But the first thing you do is you capture it into the tribe, and in order to do that, you have to close it down. So you shut down the third eye.
And what I loved about what you at that priest level, they might not even know they're doing that at that level of activity that's happening, you know, in that church, around that font, you know, in that moment.
They're just doing what they've been taught to do, and we're doing what we've been taught to do, is bringing our baby and offering them at the altar of this sacrifice.
Absolutely. And you know, and there might be other sort of practices where symbols are used, maybe, you know, or signs, or
put into your energy field. Be very careful what you allow anyone to put into your energy field. Be very, very sure that person is working for the true light, and the true light has a golden quality to it, not a white quality to it, because false white light comes from the deity planes. The deity planes are found in the phantom matrix.
Okay, so let's just explore this a little bit deeper.
That's another deception.
Interesting. So you say there's gold light, which is good, gold truth, if you like, gold
source light, crystal, you know, the crystal light. Well, I see it as gold. Some people see it as opalescent, crystalline quality. Yeah. So, but white, that brilliant, dazzling white light, that's the false white light.
Interesting. Okay.
Because white, you know, light is all colors. White isn't a color.
Now that is fascinating. So when you talk about yourself seeing that iridescent light or that golden light that you see, how does that manifest for you? So let's say, for example, you're given an opportunity to partake in something, whether it be a course or a healing modality or a body of work. Are you saying then that you perceive the truth of that particular offering as a golden hue rather than a white hue?
If I was going to look at it in color frequency, and I suppose you can kind of like click your lens to that. Yeah, it would either have this really crystalline quality to it. So there's a purity. I mean, it's I'm not sure we've got the words for it, but you don't mistake it when you see it.
It's almost like
I see it as a golden. It's got this beautiful, soft hue to it.
okay.
Beautiful, beautiful frequency hue to it.
So would you
Or
work with
sometimes it's opalescent, you know, there's opalescent. It's again, it's almost like an aurora, but the most beautiful pale,
pearly, like a pearlescent?
pearly. Yeah, I mean, think of an opal and
Yeah.
the colors that shoot through it and things like that, or yeah, or the pearl, the you know, the mother of pearl and the qualities of that. But it has substance to it, whereas I mean, I've always had a real aversion to white light, and it's taken me a very, very long time to understand why. But you know, my own instinct was good and it was strong, and I would override it so often. I mean, I've taken souls into the tunnel of light. I mean, God help me and God forgive me, I have done that. And I now know where that leads. I now know that that's the false, it's a false ascension path. You know, when you die, you'll see this tunnel of white light. Well, you're programming people to see that when they die, this is what they're going to see. It's a program.
Okay.
And therefore there's this beautiful hue and frequency here, but here's the tunnel of light. Oh, I need to go to that. I've been taught I
Oh,
need
how
to go to,
fascinating.
yeah.
So what would you teach now when people are ready to ascend? Are you encouraging them to look for something different to the white light?
Follow their God spark, their soul thread.
Okay,
I
perfect. So
mean that, and again, I see that as a golden thread. Some see it as a silver thread.
so again, for me, this is just coming back to our truth, our God spark, our intuitive nudge, our knowing, and that
A
even though
direct
we've been
connection to source. Yeah.
it makes so much sense. And even though we've been told that white light is what we're looking for, if you have an aversion to white light, or if you have an aversion to a crystal or something, there will be a reason why you have that aversion. Trust it, even though everybody's telling you crystals are good, or, this is good or that's good. That makes so
And
much sense.
you know, crystals can be programmed. We use them. We use them
Oh,
as part of computers and, you know, all sorts of things like this. So, yeah, I mean, crystals are amazing beings of consciousness in the same way that, I mean, you work with flower essences and things, you know that flowers and plants are.
mhm,
Crystals can be programmed in the same way we can be programmed. We have a crystal, you know, at the center of I mean, it's why they shut down the third eye, the pineal.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, so can a dark force and a dark entity take over a crystal? Yeah, they can, in the same way they can take over us. So
That
again, discernment, discernment, discernment.
I love what you're inviting here, which is for people to just be super cautious, even though it's, all in this nice package of healing and light and, still listen to that internal thing that says, no, not quite this, or even that screams really loudly, absolutely not.
Yeah. Another one, and this one came up recently, the tube torus. Are you familiar with that? You know, our aura, that
Take us
picture of
through
the
that.
aura. There's the man standing in the middle, and it goes up like wings and comes round, and you know, and our energy goes up, goes down, comes back in through our feet, goes up. Closed loop system. Think about it. Closed loop system.
Oh,
It's a geometry that is called the poison apple geometry, and it's what runs and has been running on this earth for many, many thousands of years. It's part of keeping us energetically, keeping us on the farm, this closed loop system. Now, what should it be? Think about your connection up to the father energies,
yeah.
about your connection right down into the center of the earth, into the mother energies at the core of the earth. And then think of your wings. So you're a butterfly and you have this extended central line through which the energy comes from source to the
Ah,
mother.
and maybe then goes around the wings, but
Yeah, and we effectively feed off that. It's an eternal flow, the flow coming down, coming up, coming round, coming through. It's all all one great flow, and it's an eternal one. It never ceases, never ends. That's
Oh,
that's what we should
yes.
be going for, not anything that's a closed loop system.
I really love this. And you know what you mentioned about the flower essences, and it's making me think that one of the reasons why I love creating my own essences is because I know they haven't been infiltrated by a company or a consciousness either. I've got that direct connection with the nature being. It speaks to me. I hear what I hear. I co-create with her because she's given me permission, and the energetics of it is pure. The intention of it is pure. And so that's making me make so much sense of that, because also the way I was taught to work with essences by an amazing woman. So if anybody wants to know, then just give me a call, and I'll put you in contact with an amazing teacher on this front. She encourages that as practitioners, we let the client have their own connection with the nature being,
Yeah,
not what I say to them this
yeah.
represents, but for them to feel the frequency of the nature being as cleanly as possible, and
That's a
to
good teacher.
directly with that.
Yeah,
And we get ourselves out of the way. We're just an introduction agent. We're just like, here's the flowers, which one appeals?
yeah.
And so that's why I think that Essences has such a pure ring for me in the way that I've been taught.
Mm.
And signing up to work with that particular woman wasn't a logical thing. I did not need to learn how to do flower essences right there and then. I was already on to another course to do something else that was taking up all of my time. So you're making so much sense of that for me now, Sarah, and the way that you're describing it is that this stuff is beyond logic.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. And you know, our soul knows, our higher self knows, our guides, if that's what you want to call it, know. And you know, all we have to do is listen to them. I mean, I can't tell you the hoops I would get when I was married a long time ago, and you know, there'd be something that would come on my radar that I knew I needed to learn, or I knew I needed to know about. And so I'd sign up for a course or something. And my husband would question me, how are you going to use it? How's it going to make money for you? How's it, you know, and I couldn't just say to him, I know there's that tug. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
But there's that tug. And I couldn't say that to him because it just meant nothing to him. And so he would be hammering me with these questions to justify spending the money on that. And I would come up with, I mean,
That makes
I'm
the whole
ashamed, I'm ashamed to say I came up with all sorts of silly excuses. You know, I've got very good at being creative around it until such time as, you know, the marriage did fall apart because actually we were just going in such opposite directions, and having to keep this pretense up the whole time became too heavy, unfortunately. But yeah, it was this inner
knowing.
knowing, as you say, it's totally goes against your rational mind. And if
I
you're
think
only coming from the mind, from the ego personality mind body, you'll be, you know, that nudge will come in and you'll dismiss it.
yeah, because often I found that it only makes sense looking backwards.
Yeah,
It's looking at
absolutely.
the fact
Yeah,
that
yeah,
oh, now I get why that was it. And I always, I spent a lot of money on this course that I was supposed to be doing when I stumbled across the flower essence course. And, logic said, no, you should be doing this instead, but it wasn't right.
yeah.
So the message in that was, when you sweat slightly as you press the button for pay now and you think, oh God, what am I doing? It's
Mm.
probably not right.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, pause, go away, think, tune in.
Let it run
You
through.
know, and if there's that slight, maybe
Yeah,
it's just dissonant frequency. Maybe it's not just butterflies about spending that amount of money.
that's it. Because I think there's a point in time where we have to trust that investing in ourselves will be uncomfortable. But I think I'd got over that.
Yeah.
What's happening now is I was saying, oh, this must be because I need to stretch, or this must be.
Mm.
And it wasn't actually. It was coming from a different place,
Yeah.
saying, no, this isn't quite it. But I could only see that, looking backwards, and go, that feeling is a no, that feeling is a yes, push through the resistance.
Yeah.
And again, as we understand our own truths more and more, we can be more discerning about what that means for us.
Yeah. And it will enable us to see so many of these deceptions. I said not in a judgmental way, not in a, you know, that person needs to be taken down, etc., but to understand that that person hasn't maybe quite found that inner alignment within them, and they've been deceived by very, very, very clever tricksters. They've had all of us. They've had all of us in their net at some stage.
Well, I know that there's a body of work somebody I'm following at the moment talks about mimics teaching mimics teaching mimics. So, you know, I see that thread, and it's really about, you know, sometimes the mimic knows they're mimicking, sometimes the mimic doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're
so many don't. Their intent is good. You've got bad people who are misleading good people, and because good people trust, it's quite easy to do.
Sarah, you've opened my eyes, and you've helped me consolidate my understanding on so many levels today. Thank you so much. It's been fascinating.
Actually, that's great. And yeah, I hope this hasn't been too challenging for any of you listening. I say the intent isn't to hurt or denigrate at any level, but just to say, please, buyer beware, buyer beware, because there's a lot of rubbish out there masquerading as the new age. So thank you, and see you again.